Waterford.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead. Aherne. Today's top stories. Nora Quarren was alive for a week before she died from prolonged starvation in Malaysia. Waterford Council is taking legal action against the owners of the Grand Hotel. Planning permission has been refused for a solar energy park in Waterford. And in sport, Waterford FC is gearing up for tomorrow's crucial Munster derby against Cork City. A post-mortem has revealed that Nora Quarren died from prolonged starvation and stress in a Malaysian jungle. The 15-year-old Irish schoolgirl disappeared from the resort where she was staying with her family. Her body was found on Tuesday, 10 days after she went missing. Kim Buckley reports.
In a case that has captured attention around the world, some answers were finally provided by police in Malaysia this morning. A post-mortem revealed that 15-year-old Nora Quarren died from internal bleeding caused by prolonged starvation and stress. Forensics revealed she died 2 or 3 days before she was found on Tuesday, and there's no evidence of foul play. Journalist Sumisha Naidu's been covering the story in Malaysia, and she says there are still questions that need to be answered.
So how did she even end up in this place in the first place? Why was the body not found earlier? But at the same time, it isn't the easiest area to search. It had been raining. She was found in a ravine, which was a quite steep drop in.
Nora had special needs, and the priest from her London parish of St Bede's, Marcus Holden, says she brought out a lot of love in people.
And there's a great deal of love for Nora. And indeed, in the last few days, we've seen a massive amount of love outpoured, and this is encouraging in this situation.
Police in Malaysia this morning said that the Quarren family are now free to take home their daughter's body.
A Waterford councillor says the local authority can only force the owners of a derelict hotel to tidy up the outside. The Grand Hotel in Tramore has lain vacant since 2014. The matter is now due before Waterford District Court after the owners failed to comply with a derelict sites notice, which was served last year. Sinn Féin's Jim Griffin says the syndicate that owns the hotel has refused to engage with them.
So we're bringing them to court in October, and I have no doubt we will be 100% successful, and that it will force the hand of the owners of the Grand to upgrade the outside. Probably not good enough. I wouldn't even say probably. It's not good enough. But that's as much as we can do as a local authority at present. Serve them as a Derelict Sites Act.
He says the council is not in a position to buy the building.
I have had reps coming into me asking would we force the council to CPO this building. But for the council to even CPO the building, we have to then find the money. It's probably worthless as it is now, and we're struggling in the City Council to spend on the public realm works, let alone take on a building like this and have that around our neck as well.
Agnes Aylward's from the Lafcadio Aherne Japanese Gardens and says it would be fabulous to see the Grand Hotel reopened.
The town centre is really lost without it. It will bring in people who will stay here overnight. We have a lot of day visitors now coming through, but there's nobody staying here, and it's a bit of a ghost town in the evening, and this is a terrible sight.
She says there's huge potential in the Grand Hotel.
For anybody who is an investor with a bit of imagination, there is a little gold mine here. There is a roof restaurant waiting to happen with fantastic views over the bay. There could be 50 to 60 boutique bedrooms. We have potentially very high spending tourists now coming to visit the gardens. We have people actually coming purposely to see the gardens, as well as day trippers passing through. And where better, it's 100 yards from us. So it needs to happen, and if I were a younger person I would do it myself.
A Waterford councillor believes elected representatives should have had a say about planning permission for a solar energy park. The local authority turned down the application to build the 3.88 hectare facility in Kilbarry. It was due to be part of Ireland's first eco-community. There's plans to build more than 2,000 homes in the Kilbarry area, with permission already granted for 373. Fine Gael's John Cummins told Maria McCann on Daisha today that the solar farm was rejected because of the zoning of the land.
Something is zoned for a given purpose, like open space. It doesn't permit development on the land. However, material contraventions come before the council every now and then. It's not often, where a particular zoning is seen as, either unfit for the new purpose because the planning authority believes something is a good idea and should go there. So I believe that this fit the bill, and that it should come before the council.
He says development's already started in the area with a €3.3 million contract for a road.
And that's essentially to provide the relief road that all these houses will come out onto. So if you're at the Range or Musgraves, Cash and Carry, you can see the outline of the road appearing before you, and that'll eventually be a horseshoe that will come back into the Tesco roundabout. There's houses that have been built, they're at roof level, nearly completed by David Flynn there for Respond, and the nursing home on that site has permission, and that's to start in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So this is not something that we're talking about in years to come. This is something that's already happening.
Students don't have long to wait to find out what college course they've been offered. The CAO first round goes live at 2 p.m. for thousands of pupils. They'll then have until next Friday to decide if they want to accept the offer. The process is 4 days earlier this year after a High Court ruling judged the existing appeals process was unfair and not fit for purpose after a case was taken by a student last year. WIT Registrar and Vice President of Academic Affairs Derek O'Byrne says there are a number of things to consider when accepting a college placement, not just simply the course that's on offer.
The decision about college and college courses is to a large part driven by the academic side, but there are other circumstances you need to consider, and that includes accommodation, the kind of environment you want to study in, the kind of programme, the kind of material that you're going to deal with, the kind of student services that are available. And very often what we find is questions we get are not just about the content of programme, but around a whole range of ancillary things or ancillary concerns that you might have as a potential student in the institution. And they are the questions that you really need to ask as well. And you'll find that institutions are there to answer those questions, and it's important that you get that answer.
He's advising students to use the resources they have at WIT, even if they're not accepting a place at the institute.
It's never been as good a time for students getting CAO offers than now, because the range of information services available to them nationally and locally is very, very significant. So every question you have as a potential CAO candidate is a question worth asking. And there's an answer to that question. I think sometimes we don't realise that it may be the first time for you or your family going through the CAO, understanding what goes on, but there's somebody there who has the answer to those kinds of questions. So it's really important that you ask those questions and that you get in touch with the right people.
Shannon Airport has reopened, but delays are expected throughout the day. It's after a main wheel well of a plane carrying US military caught fire this morning and suspended operations. A number of flights have been cancelled and passengers are advised to contact their airlines for flight updates. John Lannon from the Shannon Watch Group says the severity of what happened this morning can't be understated.
Precedence is being given to military traffic. So a military plane gets into trouble, the whole airport shuts down. All of the business and tourist traffic in and out of Shannon has to come to a standstill while they sort out a problem with a military plane. This may continue to happen. This is a very serious matter for the region.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin. Whelan. First to soccer, and a meeting between leading clubs and UEFA about the future of the Champions League has been postponed. The scheduled talks in September were called off by European football's governing body. Domestic leagues have voiced their opposition to changes that could see the links broken between league success and Champions League qualification. Meanwhile, Chelsea head coach Frank Lampard felt they were the better side despite losing to Liverpool on penalties in the European Super Cup last night. Tammy Abraham's shootout miss proved decisive after the two sides finished extra time level at 2 apiece, the Reds prevailing 5-4 on penalties. Lampard says he's proud of his team.
I'm a terrible loser, and you should be. We are as Chelsea. We want to win this game. But we were very unfortunate today, and I'm happy with the players. If that's a sign of what we can do this season and we will get better, then it's a really good sign.
Close at home, and Waterford FC will try and record their third successive win over Cork City this season tomorrow night in the Electricity League Premier Division. The sides clash in what's being billed as a crucial Munster derby. The Blues have beaten the Leesiders at home and away so far this season with 2-0 victories on both occasions, but both squads have changed a lot since those meetings. Blues midfielder Sam Bone told WLR Sport he's settling in well despite a difficult time with injuries.
Oh, of course, yeah, especially because initially the injury was only supposed to be 8 to 10 weeks. But just as I was getting back, it went again, and then it was the exact same injury. So another 10 weeks on top of that. So it was a long time, and it was a long time doing the same stuff, the same rehab. But luckily enough, I got back the other day, and hopefully that's all put behind me now. I can just focus on getting in and hopefully making a difference to the team.
Let's hope so indeed. Kick-off for tomorrow's Crunch game is at 7:45 at the RSC, and Matt Keane will have updates across the evening here on WLR. The annual Jimmy Welsh Memorial Cup final will be played this evening at the Paddock in Portlaw. It's a local derby affair as Carrick United, who defeated Kilmacow in their semi-final, will play a Portlaw United side who defeated St Saviour's 5-1 in their last 4 encounter. Kick-off for that one is at 7pm this evening. Meanwhile, the Waterford Premier League will get up and running on Tuesday next, and we'll have a full preview of the opening games here on WLR on our Tuesday morning bulletins. Gaelic Games and Kilmacthomas and Clashmore Kinsale-Beg will vie for a place in the Waterford County Senior Football Championship quarter-finals. They meet in their rescheduled playoff game this evening, and Fairfield throw-in for that one is at 8pm. Derek McGrath has said a return to management with the Waterford senior hurling team has crossed his mind. McGrath took charge of the Dacia for a 5-year spell, bringing them to an All-Ireland final in 2017 as well as winning the National League in 2015. His name has been linked to the position once again following the recent resignation of Pádraig Fanning. Speaking as the Championship haircut returns to Croke Park ahead of the Electric Ireland GAA All-Ireland Minor Hurling Final, McGrath says he's unsure if he'll put his name forward for the role.
I have a muddled mind on it at the moment, if you want me to be completely, upfront about it. And I think when you have a muddled mind, you shouldn't be even contemplating it, if I'm honest. That's my initial thought process on it, and other parts of me are saying, geez, I'd love to be involved again. So I don't know if that's the answer you want to hear, but that's just a truthful answer,
In golf, Rory McIlroy continues his chase for the $15 million prize for winning the FedEx Cup today when the BMW Championship begins near Chicago this afternoon. The Northern Irishman is currently third in the playoff standings. Open champion Shane Lowry tees off later in the 25th position, with the top 30 players at the end of this week's tournament advancing to the season-ending Tour Championship. Graham McDowell and Masters winner Tiger Woods are also part of the field there. On the European Tour, Paul Dunne has finished up on 2 under par on day 1 of the Czech Masters. Padraig Harrington's in the clubhouse there on 1 over, while out on the course Gavin Moynihan has also 1 over through 6 holes. Meanwhile, Tremore's Robin Dawson is 2 over par at the European Tour Challenge event at Galgorm Castle. The Tremore man there is currently tied for 48th. Just reverting back to Gaelic Games there, and the GAA are warning supporters about a fake email scam offering hospitality tickets for Sunday's All-Ireland hurling final between Tipperary and Kilkenny in Croker. The association say they don't sell hospitality packages through third-party sellers, and they've also urged fans to only buy tickets from official sources. Carrick and Shore cyclist Sam Bennett will bring a 20-second lead into today's 4th stage of the Bink Bank Tour in Belgium. The sprinter won his 3rd stage in a row yesterday. Today's stage is a hilly one through the Belgian Ardennes. And in racing, the Tremore August Racing Festival kicks off in earnest today. The first race is off at 5:15 this evening. It promises to be an exciting 4 days of action with style evening on Saturday and a family fun afternoon on Sunday. It's a first August meeting for new racecourse manager Owen Byrne. He outlined to WLR Sport that there'll be a bus services available to and from the track throughout the 4 days.
So we've introduced 2 bus services this year. One is a free shuttle bus that runs from Tremore Racecourse down to Tremore Town. So it's 3 stops around there. They're by our sponsors who are very kindly sponsoring the whole thing. And Thomas Carey Coaches has given that to us for free, actually. So it's a great community service that we're providing, I think, and fair play to him for doing that. And then we have buses coming from the city out on Saturday, both ways on Saturday. And then get you home out of the racecourse on Thursday night and Friday night. So we have a bus service from the racecourse to Parnell Street on Thursday and Friday night, and we have a bus service coming both ways from Parnell Street to the racecourse on Saturday.
And we wish all involved the very best of luck with the 4 days. First race is off at 5:15. We'll have extensive previews from Mark Phillips in our later bulletins this afternoon. And WLR will be broadcasting live from the races on Style Evening on Saturday. The other racing action today comes from Leopardstown, the first race off there at 4:50. That's the latest here in WLR. Our next bulletin is at 2.